All right. So in today's video, we're going to look at probably one of the more well-known midge imitations, the Griffith's Gnat, which you'll find in just about any beginner's fly tying book. It's so easy to tie. Uh, really, two materials, maybe three, besides your tying thread, um, and it catches fish. Um, so this imitates an adult midge, though I guess more technically, it imitates a midge cluster, which why the midges are clustered together, I'm not real sure. Maybe mating or whatever. But even if you don't see any midge clusters on the water, you can get hits on this when there's any midge hatch going on. So for materials, besides your tying thread, you have grizzly hackle, which I'm tying on now, just at the bend of the hook, and then peacock curl. So I'm going to tie in 2 strands of peacock curl with this. This is a size 16 dry fly hook, but you can tie it on 18, 20, no problem. For those, you might go with 1 peacock curl. You just want a nice fuller body on this fly. So we're going to tie these 2 in. And be careful with the peacock curl. It is pretty brittle stuff. So if you had a couple cups of coffee and get a little excited wrapping it, you'll often snap it and have to start over. We're just going to go nice, close wraps, build up that body. And tie it off. You can cut it, or if it's brittle enough, you can just snap it off. And then we're going to wrap our grizzly hackle. So for this first wrap there at the end, I kind of push it up with my finger just to keep that turn upright. And then we'll just continue forward. I'm going to get those wraps fairly close together. Tie down that hackle. And where it's a midge cluster, I've never noticed any difference between having a a well-formed head versus just tying a few wraps to secure that hackle down and then whip finishing it. So form the head, don't form the head. I really don't think it makes much of a difference to the fish. Just whip finish this off. And that's a Griffith's Gnat. It's that easy. And again, technically it's imitating several midges, clumped together on the water, but if you're not seeing any of them, if you're seeing single midges coming off, this fly is still effective at catching fish. So another, I guess, kind of option you have with this is using wire or other type of ribbing to kind of reinforce the fly, where peacock herl is pretty brittle. I mean, if you catch a couple fish, the fly's usually done. You're going to have to tie another fly on. So you can use, really fine ultra wire or some other type of ribbing if you want, and just kind of reverse wrap that in the direction you did your hackle. But you don't have to. I've never really felt the need. They're easy enough to tie. If I catch a couple fish on it, I'm pretty happy with it, even if it does mean I'm going to have to tie on something new. So let's do a second one really quickly. Just make sure you got it. Tie in our hackle. And I think with this fly, and I know I was bad about it, where it's kind of considered a fly for beginners, at least tying wise. Then once you start getting a little better at tying, you want to move on to other flies. But so I really kind of ignored this pattern for a long time as I moved on, started learning new patterns. But I've really come back to it in the last few years. And if there's ever a midge hatch and some of my other patterns just aren't getting it done, I can usually tie on a Griffith's gnat and net a couple. But I do think probably the most important part to tying this fly is having the right hackle. You really want some fine uh, rooster cape hackle. It just helps keep the fly on top of the water a lot better. Trim that off. Now, so here's where wrap our hackle. And then I know we talked about it earlier, once you wrap that hackle, a lot of people uh, will then bring some wire for it as well, just to reinforce that. Kind of pinch the end there, just keep that upright. Tie that off. Quick whip finish. And you've got your Griffith's gnat. And like I said, it's really easy to tie if you're just getting into tying flies. This is a great fly to start on, for midge patterns. And it's still really easy to tie even on smaller hook sizes, and really helps you start to get a feel for the amount of materials you'll need and just working with uh, less on small hooks. But it's a great fly.